Hello everybody, my name is Christian. Today, we are going to be going through 5 different websites that I feel like every Star Rail player should know about. These 5 sites today are all pretty helpful resources in some way, shape, or form. They are either ways to see different runs from different players, a comprehensive team builder that can give you recommendations, databases, tier lists, everything that you could imagine is going to be available in some way, shape, or form today. These sites, I feel like, are things that a lot of the community knows about, but maybe not newer players. Or you could be like me and you've never chosen to actually look into some of them when they can actually be quite helpful. That's what we're going to do today. I've been excited about this video for a little while now, only now finding the time to do it, so I really hope you guys end up enjoying this. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, become a YouTube member down below, and with that said, let's get into it. So the first site up today is going to be one that I knew about for a little while, but I never went out of my way to check in any way, shape, or form until maybe a month ago or so, and it is the Genius Archive. I believe this was actually under a different name for a while. I wasn't really too sure about that information, but either way, this is what it's known as today, and the Genius Archive is essentially a complete database where people can submit runs. You can see it up here in the top right corner. We can click Submit Run. They have submission guidelines. They go over how to count your characters. There is mode selects, category selects, and then there's a video URL that you link to for your run. This site is unbelievable in what it does. You basically get a complete database of people's runs of every endgame mode. And it isn't just the current endgame modes either. Let's take a look at Memory of Chaos real quick. So Memory of Chaos, we see that it's currently set to lychDRMZ, the lychDRMZ boss fight. We have filter by category, so full star clear. We have cost bracket, all cost, and then it's currently sorted by cost. So now let's take a look at the settings here. I can change it to be 3.8, 3.7, 3.6. I can change the boss, of course, over to Sparxicon instead. And then for category, we can do, how about we do 0 cycle? And all costs, let's leave it there. I don't really need to see the 28 cost clear or whatever. It's not really, not really too interesting to me personally. And there we go. So now we can see a bunch of different entries that go by character. And the cost and the entry that is currently being presented to you is the one that closest matches the search that you have put in. So right at the top here, we see Sparxy, who's got 31 entries. Sparxy managed to 0 cycle Sparxicon with E0 Sparxy, E0 Yao Guang, E6 Asta, and E6 RMC. Those are the only 2 costs, so they don't have their light cones either. No standard 5-star costs, 0 cycles. Right over here. This is unbelievably cool how this all gets sorted out. It presents you a bunch of information, and you can dive in a little bit to try and find something that matches what your account has or what you're trying to do. So like for reference, I was trying to 0 cycle Sparxicon a little bit ago. We can probably put the footage on screen right now. I was not able to do it. I think I was off by, I don't even know. I think I was off by 1 Firefly skill, roughly. So now, let me scroll down, and here is the first Firefly clear. It is 4 cost with Dahlia, E2 Firefly, E6 Ting Yun, and E6 HMC. So now, I'm going to scroll through a little bit. I want to see if I can find a clear that isn't E2 Firefly, and see if that can kind of match what I have to work with, because I have E1 Firefly, E1 S1 Dahlia, E1 S1 Fugue. I, of course, have E6 HMC, E1 Ron May. I've got all of that available. So, looking around, the first thing we see that's kind of similar to my situation is right here. E0 Firefly, E0 Fugue, E0 Dahlia, E6 HMC. Then we have a bunch more options down here that really range a little bit. You see all of this available, and there are videos linked to every single one, which is incredible. Like, oh hey, here's Rory. Like, so let's click on Rory, and then there you go. It literally gives you an exact link to the video you're looking for. So we can click it. There we go. it is now showing us Rory's video. We get to see the entire run, and then usually people who submit to these websites show builds at the end. We can see it kind of in the little bar right there. But yeah, so we see all of this just for Sparxicon, and then we can switch it back, go to lygus, and we can see the top team up here to Zero Cycle, 3 cost Zero Cycle, E0 Hyacinth, E0 Evernight, E0 Cyrene, E6 RMC. That is incredible. That is unbelievably efficient gameplay. Like, that is amazing to see. And again, if you wanted to, you could go watch this right now and learn how they did it. Then you can go try and replicate it. It is not going to be like a perfect resource, because obviously in a lot of these cases, these people have really good relics, or you might struggle to find a run that's pretty similar to what you're personally looking for. But overall, there are so many entries for every single one of these. Like Xandar, Finon has 40 entries, Casterus has 23 entries, Archer has 15, Evernight has basically 20. And this is all for just Memory of Chaos and Zero Cycle. Zero Cycle specifically, by the way. Let's do show all runs, or you know what, let's just do full stars. Look at this. 4 cycle clear. E0 Cyrene, E6 Asta, E6 Gallagher, E6 RMC. 1 cost, 4 cycles. That is unbelievable. That is so cool. Then we have Clara. E4 Clara, E0 Tribby, E6 Gallagher, E6 RMC. All of this on Xandar, and you know, there are some people who just can't even clear it at all. You see something like this, and it is so impressive what people are able to do, and you can go and watch any of these videos right now if you wanted to try and learn from them. This is one of the coolest resources I think we have in this community, and it is something that I personally wish I had kind of looked into sooner. I find this really unique. It can be a lot of fun to watch these and learn from them, or even just watch them and be impressed by what people are actually capable of in this game. It exists for all 4 modes too, so you have a lot of ways to start learning about this game and about characters specifically. How many characters have entries here? Sparxy, Cyrene, Firefly, Saber, Archer, Rappa. We got Casterus, Anexa, Evernight, Donhung, Imbibitor, Lune, with a 4 cycle clear, by the way. There's so much to see here. Even if you can't find the specific character that you're looking for, this can give you ideas of what to do against the boss, how to abuse it, or really what else you personally can do with your specific account to try and get to the point that you can clear. I really like this a lot, and with the most recent anomaly arbitration being the biggest pain in the ass in the world, going to the anomaly arbitration section honestly seems pretty helpful. So let's click on Season and Boss, so we're on 4.1, and then we have Xandar, the Rocking Rebel, and Pollux. So let's take a look at Pollux. So this is to get a 3-star clear on Pollux. The highest option we see right now is DOT with a Gallagher. And then we got Hyacinth here. We have Archer being able to kill. Anexa's right down here. Finon. You know, 6 cost, I feel like, is probably the most reasonable thing for most players, and there's at least a few options in the 6 cost range. Honestly, again, this is really cool to see. We see Jingliu down here, although Jingliu's team is definitely unrelatable. So yeah, and then we can still go to, like, Night 3 with lygus. We can see a bunch of different entries. We can go over to the Rocking Rebel, which was the easiest night this time around, in my opinion. There's going to be more entries for Zero Cycle, aren't there? Why am I not surprised? Look at that, man. That's unbelievable. I think this site is just absolutely incredible. I think it is something that a lot of people can learn from and really appreciate, and it's important to me to highlight that, because this is how we as a community get better as the game starts to hate us more and more. Oh, man. It's such a time playing Star Rail right now. Alright, that's going to wrap up this section of the video. So now, I'm pretty sure this is the newest site on the list by far. This is StarGuide. Now, I would like to personally say I was reached out to by the creator of this website. They kind of told me about it, what the goal behind it was, what it accomplishes, and I was really impressed, so I wanted to include it in this video today. StarGuide is essentially an advisor for your account personally. What you can do is, let's go over to Manage Roster. So, in Manage Roster, you can toggle every character in the game that you own on your account. So, like, I got Firefly, Gallagher, Lingshaw, Dahlia. I got the ice characters. I'm missing quite a few imaginary, as we can see. And then we can get to somebody like Evanescia. I can actually mark Evanescia as planned. And now, because I am planning to get Evanescia, it is treating Evanescia as an owned character on my account, so it will recommend things to get for her specifically, which is really, really cool to see, because sometimes you're not going to know what exactly you want to do whenever you just like a character. So now with this planning done, I can now know, like, it'll give me teammate suggestions, you know, if I need the Lycone or not, or alternative Lycone options, all that good stuff. So I really, really like what this is. You know, it's a good way to keep track of everything. And then over here, we have Lycones. I added in a bunch of the Lycones that I currently own. We got Tavern Night Stars, Time Woven in Gold, Ocean Sing, Worrisome Blissful, you know, pretty typical 5-star cones. And we can assign it to characters. So I have 67 Lycones recorded on here. I'm pretty sure I have more than that, but hey, I'm lazy. And I've assigned 15 of them to, like, my mono-rem characters and my break characters, basically. So now, we can take a look at... Here we go. Let's go over to Best Teams. So now, this is going to show you a bunch of team options that your account is going to be capable of. It's set to MOC currently, but then we have Apocalyptic Shadow and Pure Fiction options. So we'll go back to MOC. So we're just looking at basic overall team options that would be good. This is not going to be directly suited for the current content available in the game, but it is going to give you an idea of what you should be looking for with your account. So we see Casterus Hyper Carry, Casterus March 7th Dual DPS. We have the alternative option with, instead of Cyrene, Tribby. We have my DOT team. We have Kafka Hysilens with Cyrene as a backup option. And we can scroll down here and see these teams that aren't quite as good as my options up here, but still pretty competitive. So we have Hysilens Kafka with Cypher. We have Archer Hyper Carry with Sparkle and Yao Guang. Archer Hyper Carry with Silverwolf and Sparkle instead of Yao Guang. And then Hysilens Hyper Carry with Hysilens, Cyrene, Tribby, and Don Hung. I personally would use RMC in that case. I've actually done that before, and it was a lot of fun, but I digress. So, pretty simple overall options, but this is going to be pretty good for somebody who doesn't know exactly what they're trying to do, or doesn't have a lot of experience with making some specific team comps. That's exactly what this site is going to be mainly used for. It is going to help beginning level players, or even just like somewhat intermediate level players. It's going to give you a bunch of useful information to help you reach the next level, to give you a bit of guidance if you do not know where to get it from. If your favorite YouTuber, like, it just isn't being helpful, don't look at me. Or if you don't have anybody that you can really talk to who's a bit more serious about the game, you don't know where to go, this is a site that can help you a little bit. There's also way more to it, so now let's take a look at the Pull Advisor. So this is suggesting characters I should get for my DPS characters. So we see Luocha, we see Jiaocho, Aventurine, and Ho-Ho. Ho-Ho is a big character that would work amazingly on my account. I have a Galaya, I have Saber, I have, I'm going to start getting the Elation team. I have Yao Guang currently. So Ho-Ho is an amazing choice for me personally. Now, obviously, this is all data at the end of the day. So data can kind of lie at points. There is no world where Jiaocho's critical for anybody. Like, I'm going to be honest, there's no world where Jiaocho's critical for anybody. And Luocha down here is marked as a skip. Aventurine, also not really critical, but he does still have some places where he can be really helpful. I'm looking at you, Hule. So this is not as bad. That's the thing with data. It will kinda lie to you a little bit, just because there are so many good options in this game above what these two characters are really offering for your account at large. But if we're looking at just characters that Aventurine can support, I have all of the follow-up DPSs. That is really, really good for Aventurine, so it makes sense that he would be a highly coveted person on my account. There's also a marker here for supports. So this is telling you what DPS would fit your personal support characters the best. At the top here, we see Ashvale. That is understandable because I have his best in slot support, Donhung PT, and I have every amplifier that would be good for him. I have Sparkle, I have RMC, I have Tribby E1, and I have Sunday. Obviously, these are all characters that work amazingly with Ashvale, so why not recommend them? Then next up, we see Sparksy and Finon. I have almost everything Finon would want except for Ceridra. And then for Sparksy, I have Yao Guang, which is her absolute best character right now. And then I have Donhung PT, which is super, super nice. Once again, not an absolute perfect metric, because ideally, Finon and Anexa, you need Ceridra to make those characters work. You need Ceridra. If you do not have her, your teams are going to struggle comparatively to if you do and you had less investment overall, which is a crazy thing to say, but that's how Star Rail works. This is something that is very hard to factor in with data, so I understand that it's kind of going to be hard to implement that. But again, we are looking at general baselines here, helping players advance their accounts piece by piece. If you have a usable team for your characters, that can work until you get that ideal scenario, which would be Ceridra for both of these guys. Similarly to Pull Advisor, there is also a Banner Advisor, which can kinda, based on the currently available banners, it will tell you how important these characters are for you to pull. And there is a Light Cone Advisor. This will tell you great light cones to equip onto your characters. The best character will often get a better light cone, so Sparkle, who is seen as really, really good, and especially over Sunday, would get Sunday's cone, and then Sunday would have to deal with but the battle isn't over. Obviously, you might not be using these two at the exact same time, so you can just switch the Grounded Ascent light cone between them, but it's giving you something to hold on to just in case you don't have any other light cone options. Or, if you are going to use two characters at the same time who would use a similar cone, like DDD users, you at least have some other alternative now listed. All of this is all available for absolutely free, which is super, super cool to see in my opinion. Again, do I think this is absolutely groundbreaking? No. Do I think it is helpful? Absolutely. I think this is something that a lot of players could take from, especially if you are not as experienced. The recommendations are helpful. The actual metrics that you can look at are helpful. And this, just giving you basic recommendations with various other options, that is helpful. I promise you it is. Many people would be appreciative if they had this. I personally like this site a lot. I think there is still a lot that they could do to improve it, like getting a bit more specific or really listing out the absolute best options over even just, these are your suggested amplifiers. Oh, you have all of them, great. Who's the best one? Mark them separately because they are that important. Prydwen recently got rid of the partner tag, and I think that was a bit of a mistake. I think that we could re-implement that here, and it would genuinely be of value, because there are some characters who are going to struggle significantly without their best partner. As one final part, there is actually a pro section that you can purchase a Star Rail supporter pass to get access to. You will have access to the next best action, finding the highest impact investment for each of your teams. We have Relic Insights telling you what you should farm. And then we've got the end game planner, which tells you about end game and can give you team recommendations. I personally really think the site's cool. I'm very happy that there is people just making beginner-friendly resources still in the community. It's very important, especially this many years into the game, because sometimes people just get left behind, and that's super unfortunate to see. I like this site a lot. I would highly recommend checking it out. And yeah, that finishes up this website. So now, let's move on to another one that many of you are going to be very familiar with. Prydwen! Put the guns and pitchforks down, everybody. Calm. This is a good resource, and I will not hear anything else about it. Prydwen is a site that I think is best served as a database, and it can also be used, I feel like, pretty fairly for build recommendations. People also shit on their build recs. I really think it's a pretty good baseline overall. I think people are just being ridiculous at that point. So let's take a look at light cones. This gives you every single light cone in the game, and you can see what all of them do at each superimposition. Here's every single path up here. You can just click through them all. You can sort by 4-star, 5-star. Then we have relics. It shows you every single relic in the game if you don't know what you're looking for. There's a relic stats guide too, which can be pretty helpful. So just as a database, this is pretty good. They have specific guides which are great for early game players, teaching you about team archetypes, telling you the free characters you can get, talking about early gearing, introduction to the game, explaining what Honkai Star Rail even fucking is. There are guides for currency wars, explaining how the gacha system works. Overall, there is a lot of beginner-friendly resources right available on Prydwen. Then we move on to Memory of Chaos, Pure Fiction, and Apocalyptic Shadow, the little listings they have on this left side. These give you statistics from player-submitted runs about who was used the most in a bunch of different game modes. So I'm currently on Memory of Chaos. This is for the current 4.0 cycle. And we see Spark Seed absolutely dominating. Yao Guang also up there. Sparkle. These three all being in the same team makes a lot of sense that they'd be this high. Then we see Evernight in both varieties, sub DPS and as her main form. Ho Cyrene. We see who are the top dogs for this MOC. Then we see who the fuck is useless this MOC. The lowest rated character who actually got a significant report was the Herta. The overall run took 9 cycles on average. That says a lot about Herta, but we're not going to get into that. I don't think the statistics are as helpful, but they are very interesting to look at and can give you a bit of insight into the current state of the game, who's holding up, who isn't, in case you are thinking about pulling. Just for reference, we got Pure Fiction here. There you go. You can see a bunch of the scores. We got 40,000 for Evernight. That's pretty good. Apocalyptic Shadow from 3.8, so that one has yet to be updated at the time of recording. It will probably be updated soon. We see high score from Evernight, high score from Firefly, fairly high score from Boot, Hill, Casterus, all those good characters. We then move on to the character page, the real big one here. Let's go over to the newest character, Ashvale. On Ashvale's page, we have all of his abilities listed out real nice to see. You can adjust based on what trace level you have to see how much of a difference it makes. I feel like getting to actually see that number change kind of shows people how much they're missing out on by not having their traces leveled up. We see the energy gain of each ability. We see the break of each ability. We scroll down, we get to see all of the major traces of each character, their minor traces, and all of their eidolons laid out, so you can see exactly what you're looking for in case you're not in game, or if you're planning out your pulls in some other way. We go over to build and teams, and it'll give you a relative number of how much you're gaining or losing with each light cone and relic suggestion. So we see for Ashvale, the Finale of a Lie is very, very good for Ashvale. No shocker there. We see Baptism of Pure Thought and Worrisome Blissful as other quality options. And then as we scroll down, we see See You at the End, which is a Battle Pass cone, being one of the more okay options if you are not using cruising in the Stellar Sea, or if it's already taken, or if you don't have the cones above. Then we go to relics, we see Pioneer Diver of Dead Waters being definitely a little bit behind in terms of actual output compared to his best in slot set, the Ash Blazing Grand Duke. Over here, we see stat suggestions, 3000 attack, 100 crit rate, 100 to 150 crit damage, base or 135 speed depending on how you are choosing to run Ash Veil, whether it's in the -1 setup or with Sparkle. Then we see some Eidolon suggestions and teammate synergies. I'm always going to say, this is not the end-all be-all. I like it, it's fairly accurate, but this is not going to be your end-all be-all. The numbers can sometimes be fairly inaccurate, but I think the overall suggestions, that's what we're looking at here. The overall suggestions are quite helpful, honestly. What Prydwen offers is going to be very good for beginners or people who just don't know what exactly they're going to be looking for. And then as you get better at the game, it's just going to be a fairly nice database with a lot of unique features that are still going to be pretty interesting to you, I feel. There is also the Prydwen tier list. I know people just hate this. I think it's a fairly accurate reflection of the game in most cases. I do think some placements are often questionable. I still think QQ should be higher as of right now because of Sparkle buffs, but I digress. Overall, I think this tier list could be so much worse, but I understand why people do not like it, and again, it is nowhere near perfect, so I'm not gonna fight to defend it right now. Everybody knows Prydwen. A lot of people use it. If you are not using Prydwen, I'd recommend using it over whatever other site you're using, like Game 8. I don't think that one's good at all, honestly, compared to Prydwen. And yeah, definitely the most popular site on this list, so I don't want to spend too much longer on it. It is a good site, though. You should try and use it if you just need a little bit of help, or if you're trying to get a bit of information. Alright, the next site on our list is something that I've used pretty often on my stream, if you've been around there, the Fribbles Star Rail Optimizer. This is something that I have not used to its full potential, and I will fully admit it is just not something I ever really thought about, but it has a lot of unique features. What everybody mainly knows Fribbles for is the character showcase. It'll show you a combat simulation with your DPS score, it'll grade all of your relics and give you a nice little view of your character and their stats. So, for a quick example, because again I usually show this off on stream, here is my Topaz DPS that I built a while ago. We've got an S ranked relic there, S+, A+, SS+, What the Fuck Plus, and SSS. My overall combat sim score is SS+. This is pretty good. The highest rating, though, is Aeon rating, 150% DPS combat score. This is very hard to achieve. Very, very hard to achieve. But if you can do it, it is unbelievable. That means your build is top of the top, and as close to perfection as a normal human is likely to optimize. Really love Topaz, so I'm happy that I get to show her off here. But alright, we'll go back to the homepage here. The other things available on Fribbles are going to be the Relic Optimizer, the Relic Organizer, and the Damage Calculator. I'm going to be entirely honest, I think the Damage Calculator is not that helpful, if we're being 100% honest. The Relic Optimizer and Relic Organizer, though, I quite like these. Let's go over to my optimizer here. You can see I have Evernight selected here. We scroll down. There are only a few relics loaded in. I just got this working recently. So right now, it is showing me the highest combo damage I can achieve with combinations of relics on my account. What I have currently is the best I can do, but if we were to click here, this is suggesting that I take the headpiece from March 7th Hunt and the body piece from Topaz to get the highest possible score that is not going to be the completed set that I currently have on Evernight. This could be very helpful if you actually go through and upload a lot of your relics, which they do have a way to do that efficiently. You just have to go and take a look in the import and save section right here. But back to the topic at hand, this can basically tell you a great way to set up a character for gearing, to give them the best stats possible. And there are also presets available that make it really easy to actually achieve this. This is a really cool feature in my opinion. I quite like it. I think there is quite a bit of potential here as well, if we're being honest. I think this could honestly be pretty helpful for quite a few players who are struggling with how to min-max optimally. I think this can be extremely beneficial. Then we go back home. Relic Organizer, it'll kind of show you what characters would want what relic. Like if you have a really good relic that would fit Acheron or Aglaya, it'll show you how beneficial it is for them, and it'll show you how beneficial it is for all the characters that you have saved onto Fribbles. The site overall has quite a bit to offer beyond just the classic showcase. I do actually think that this is just a really cool feature to see how good your builds are and to see like small ways you can improve. So let's look right here. Main stat upgrade comparison. If I were to switch from a fire damage boost orb to an attack boost orb, my DPS score would go up substantially. I did not know that. So, if I wanted to go find a better attack orb, I could do that. There we go. I'm now getting a much higher score as a result of that. It's simple things like this that can really help you learn how to min-max and improve your builds to their best ability, because having bad builds can genuinely screw you over quite a bit in cases where you would have been able to do something that you just can't currently. Like, maybe you were able to get that 0 cycle. Maybe you were able to actually just get the clear on MOC 12, APOC 4, blah, 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 blah. I like Fribbles a lot. Very unique website. And it is honestly very similar to the last site we are going to be talking about today, SeeleLand. So, on SeeleLand, you are going to see a lot of similar aspects to Fribbles. It is going to show you your relics and tell you how you can improve all of your relics, what kind of new substats you're looking for, and it'll actually grade you based on how good your builds are. So we see here, I have a top 1% March 7th Hunt with Cruising in the Stellar Sea Light Cone, and I have a top 1% Topaz with Sunday, which is going to be main DPS Topaz. Then we see I have a lot of other builds that are considerably more shit. This site is probably the most just for fun on the list, in my opinion. It is super interesting to see how you stack up, to see how you can improve, and you can actually go onto individual character leaderboards, and you can see the best of the best for so many characters in this game. It is not the best learning resource, but I think it's a fun one, and we've talked a lot about beginner-friendly resources, good ways to min-max optimize. I think this one is just fun, and that's okay. It is alright to have a little bit of fun every now and then, and see if you can be the best Arlen in the US. I know you can do it. I believe in you. Alright, we're done. Oh my god. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I had a lot of fun with it. I've been waiting to do this for a while, like I said, so I'm super, super happy that it finally gets to come out. And yeah. If you have any more cool websites you want me to take a look at, drop them in the comments. I would love to see, and I hope that these can actually be of help to some of you in the comments. I got plenty more good videos coming out soon, so I will see you guys then. Bye-bye!